everybody. How you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and I was thinking about Bill Cosby. And in case you don't know, most of you probably know Bill Cosby's been arraigned. They arrested him the other day for a sexual assault that allegedly took place back in 2004. He bailed himself out, threw up the $1 million, and got out of jail. It must be nice to have that kind of money, and it looks like chickens are coming home to roost for Bill. Bill had an interesting and complicated life, and what's really interesting is that his arrest and his charges have really been politicized by people on both sides. You see people that have always seen the black man as a sexual predator, who have somehow identified Bill as kind of the leading predator of the United States. When you've got people out in Hollywood holding, pedophile parties seriously. You've got go look up the X-Men director. I think his last name is Singer. He was sued by a child actor for some stuff that was really, really disturbing. You also saw some other things kind of happening that are kind of being swept under the rug in exchange for this kind of Bill Cosby vilification. And if you think that him being black has nothing to do with it, then you're crazy. You've never lived in America, apparently. And so I think that if you want to ask me if Bill Cosby has been exposed in some sort of conspiracy to expose him, I don't think that's out of the question. I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case. But do I think he was framed, meaning an innocent man who did nothing, who didn't rape anyone, being portrayed as a rapist? I don't think that's true either. I think what's happening is that Bill's dirt it has a spotlight being put on it, as opposed to the dirt of so many other people. I mean, if you went into the life of Bill Clinton, for example, a very good friend of Bill Cosby, you would find a whole lot of crazy drama in his life. And now rape, I don't know if it's that deep, but there are some things that kind of happened in his life that where there were a lot of cover-ups. And basically, when it comes to powerful people, they tend to protect those that they want to protect, and then they expose those who they want to expose. But I think also at the same time, the more ammunition you give them for exposure, the easier it is for them to bring you down. And I think that with Bill, especially when I heard a really interesting interview with Richard Pryor's widow, who was basically talking about how, for a long time it was kind of a poorly kept secret that Bill just screwed everything that moved. And some might say, as a married man, even though we know infidelity happens, I don't know if it should be the death knell of a marriage. I don't think it should be, and I think that's why a lot of divorces happen today. I believe that a lot of the long-term marriages from back in the day lasted because people understood that spouses make mistakes, and that wasn't a reason to kill your whole family just because somebody cheated once or twice or whatever. But nowadays, I think that infidelity is seen in a different way, and for right or wrong, it is what it is. People make their own rules in their own marriages. But I think that in Bill's case, it just seemed that it was kind of a serial sort of infidelity. I'm talking about a man 50, 60 years old sleeping with girls that were younger than his grandchildren. That's a problem. That's you can't look at that and say that's okay. Now, here's the thing that's interesting too. You know, when I think about Bill Cosby, this is a man actually from a professional standpoint that I admire quite a bit. In terms of, I admire him because of what he did. I admire what he did. Put it that way. How about this? I'm not gonna say I admire him. I admire what he did professionally. Because as an entertainer, he gave so much to black people. If you go back 20, 30 years ago, he did really good documentaries about race and racism in America. When he created Fat Albert, he did that for urban kids. When he created the Cosby Show in a Different World, he did that to better black people. He gave money to HBCUs when most celebrities will not do that. And so I don't think you can ever talk about Bill Cosby without discussing those things. But here's the other side of Bill Cosby too, though. And I've had debates with people about this because I have people trying to peg me. They're trying to say, "Oh, you hate Bill Cosby, you're Uncle Tom, you ain't trying to support the black man." And then I got people saying, "Oh, you're defending a rapist, you're standing by Bill Cosby, and you don't care about those women because you're saying that he should get away with rape." No, I believe in calling it as I see it, and I'm not on either side of that fence. Do I think Bill Cosby raped someone? Yeah, I do believe that he did. Do I think that Bill Cosby is the only person in Hollywood doing this kind of thing? No, I don't. So I do charge those who are going after Cosby in a vacuum of racism. I think this case is very racist. I think that it just reeks of racism. The way, I mean, it's not disconnected from the history of America. I mean, a black man has, that's seen in that light as a sexual predator, especially if he's accused of preying on white women, is always attacked in a certain way. You saw when Tiger Woods was cheating on his wife with those white women, they treated him like he was a criminal, even though Tiger didn't do anything wrong. And his wife is the one who should have been in jail because she went upside his head with a golf club. That's assault. That's domestic violence. She should be in prison for that. But for some reason, people saw her as the victim, even though she put the golf club upside his head. Now, I don't care if she slept with 47 men and an elephant during their marriage. If he were to come in the house and put a golf club upside her head, saying that he was hurt by what she did, nobody would give him $50 million and a trophy. Nobody would make her into the villain and him the hero. His black ass would be in jail. So understand, there is a huge disparity there in terms of how these cases are kind of seen, and race is all over the place in this. Now, one last thing about Bill Cosby is really interesting to me is that I see a lot of black folks who really defend him, just in a way that's almost a little unhealthy, I think, because he's a hero, he's an icon for them, and so rather than separating Heathcliff Huxtable and Bill Cosby from the man behind the scenes who might have been doing things he shouldn't have been doing, people lump them all together, and they get to the point where it almost is a form of hero worship. And one of the things that concerns me, and I told people this, as I said, look, if you as a black man were accused of raping 30 something white women, based on Bill Cosby's pound cake speech 10 years ago, Bill Cosby would never defend you against those charges. He would never say, oh, you're a victim of a racist and corrupt system. He would never say, oh, you were set up, these white folks are out to get you. He would probably say, well, if you didn't want to go to jail, if you didn't want to get shot by the cops, you shouldn't have been raping people in the first place. Because if you remember in his pound cake speech, he said something to that effect. I don't have the quote right in front of me, but he's basically said that you have parents that complain about their son being shot for stealing pound cake, but they never ask, why did he have the pound cake in the first place. So let me find the quote from the pound cake speech. And this is what's interesting to me, that basically you're talking about a man who effectively said, look, if you get in trouble in this system, it's not the system, it is you. That there's something wrong with you. You guys see this on my screen because I'm literally looking this up because I want to see what he says here. He says, oh, here we go. Let's see here. But these people, the ones up here in the balcony, fought so hard. He's talking about the civil rights generation. Looking at the incarcerated, these are not political criminals. These are people going around stealing Coca-Cola. People getting shot in the back of the head over a piece of pound cake. Then we all run out and are outraged. The cop shouldn't have shot him. What the hell was he doing with the pound cake in his hand? He said, I wanted a piece of pound cake just as bad as anybody else. And I looked at it and I had no money. And something called parenting said, if you get caught with it, you're going to embarrass your mother. Not, you're going to get your butt kicked. No, you're going to embarrass your mother. You're going to embarrass your family. And then he goes deeper and he says, if you knock that girl up, you're going to have to run away because it's going to be too embarrassing for your family. In the old days, a girl getting pregnant had to go down south and then her mother would go down to get her. But the mother had the baby. I said the mother had the baby. The girl didn't have the baby. The mother had the baby in 2 weeks. We're not parenting. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to these people. They are showing you what's wrong. People putting their clothes on backwards. Isn't that a sign of something going on wrong? Now, look, I'm not going to say that Bill Cosby didn't have a point in certain aspects of what he was trying to say. I think actually Bill Cosby, to me, I wasn't actually as hard on him as some of my friends. Michael Eric Dyson, Mark Lamont Hill, they really went pretty hard on him. I guess it's a Philly thing. They're all up in Philly, so I guess they're all kind of fighting each other in Philly. I was a little more disconnected. I kind of saw it in a way where it was like, well, I didn't like what he said, but I like Bill Cosby and I like what he was trying to say. And so when I hear that speech, and what I'm also hearing is a man who's basically saying that if your black ass gets shot, it's because you were doing something you shouldn't have been doing. and there's zero sympathy for you. And also, when he says these people up on the balcony, he's talking about the old heads, the old school civil rights leaders who marched with Dr. King. He's basically saying that that they fought hard in order to give you all the freedoms you have today, and that today there's really there's no excuse for you. And so all those documentaries Cosby did about race and racism in America were done a long time ago. He was talking about his experience as a young black man and had empathy for what he went through, but I don't think he has a lot of empathy for what young black men today go through. And that, I think, is a point that has to kind of be laid out here, and people have to really think about this. And so the bottom line is that if you as a black man or a black woman or anybody who's watching this, or your son was accused of rape just like him, he probably wouldn't have much sympathy for you. He'd probably say, well, if you didn't want to get arrested, if you didn't want to get treated this way, you shouldn't have been raping anybody in the first place. So it's very interesting to me because people are giving Cosby a type of sympathy that he would probably never give them in a million years. The other interesting thing here, this is something I would say to those who want to believe that all 30 something women are just lying, that all 30 something women, that not one of these women actually was sexually assaulted. That's really an insult, I think, to everybody, to all free thinking people in the world. Um, Imagine if you had a cop that beat the hell out of 37 black people, and all 37 of them showed up and filled out a complaint and told the same story or very similar stories. And the cop said, "Oh, well, that's a conspiracy. That's a setup. Y'all just making this stuff up on this cop. He's our cop of the year, and y'all just trying to bring a good cop down. That ain't right." I mean, we be livid. We be outraged about that. So I don't think that we can look at it like that. Now, if you want to ask me something that I do think on this case, and a reason why I do think that it's a little too late here, is that you do have things like the statute of limitations, and you do have this thing called proof. Most of these alleged victims don't have any proof, and so what happens is, when you set the bar that low with where no proof is required, anybody can walk in there and say I was raped by Bill Cosby. Anybody who was with him for 10 minutes in 1972 can go join the lawsuit and get paid. That's crazy to me. Maybe I can join the lawsuit. Can I? I mean, I don't know. Seriously, I mean, it's crazy to me. I don't understand that. I'm looking at all these people, and I'm hearing all these stories. Oh, she was dating Bill Cosby, and she sought him out for 5 years, looking to get money from him, and then he stopped speaking to her, and suddenly she's going back and replaying the tape and saying, "Oh, by the way, he raped me." And I have no evidence, and it happened 30 years ago. That's insane. That's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. I know it might hurt to see a person allegedly get away with something they did, but you do have this thing called the rule of law. And I can tell you the rule of law has gotten in the way of black people receiving justice in tens of thousands of situations where we knew somebody was guilty. We knew that Klansman had hanged and lynched and castrated that black man, but we couldn't do anything because of the statute of limitations or whatever. Okay, so, I just think it's kind of crazy that people are trying to dig up stuff from the 1960s and 70s and act like it happened yesterday. It didn't happen yesterday. Now, this particular case that Cosby was arrested for, I think that's a victory for white people. I really think that white people are mad and disgruntled, and I think that it was a little bit of a witch hunt. They were going to get their man. There are a lot of other people they could chase down just as much. It shouldn't go without being noticed that they are very, very quick to go get Bill Cosby for some stuff that happened a long time ago, but won't get a cop for a black man he shot last week. That's crazy to me. That's ridiculous. That's sick. You won't even indict a white cop for killing a black person, but you're gonna go get this man who allegedly raped some white women 30 years ago with no evidence. That doesn't make any sense. And again, if you think that all those old accusations don't have anything to do with their decision to come after him on this recent thing that happened 10 years ago, you're crazy. In fact, it wasn't 10 years ago, it was 11 years ago, 2004. So I think that the hard part about talking about the Cosby thing is that it's very difficult to talk about it in a one-dimensional framework, because what happens is people want to put you in one box or the other. Either you're defending a rapist or you're trying to bring a good black man down. No, I think that that neither box makes any sense. If you're in either one of those boxes, you're probably kind of in the crazy box, because I don't think anybody can look at that much evidence and believe that he did nothing wrong, and I don't think anybody can look at this case and not see racism written all over it. So this ain't nothing but a race war. That's what this is. That's what this is. And in war, people fight dirty, and so that's what you're seeing. You're seeing people scream racism on one side, and then you're seeing people go on a witch hunt on the other, and all of it's about their political agenda more than it is about actually seeking out the truth. Because I think if you seek out the truth, you're going to find something that you may not want to see. But I think that's the best approach. But again, that's the approach I'm going to take. I'm not trying to get caught up in this one-sided situation, or one side or the other. I think that any smart person would think the same way. So anyway, I love to hear what you guys think about this. But those are my thoughts on Cosby. I hope this is helpful. Hope you have a good day. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.